Hello, I have another profile video for you. Today it is Roger Clemens. Pitcher, born August 4th, 1962, Dayton, Ohio, U.S. Batted right, threw right, MLB debut, May 15th, 1984, for the Boston Red Sox. Last MLB appearance, September 16, 2007, for the New York Yankees. MLB statistics. Win-loss record 354 wins, 184 lose. Earned run average 3.12. Strikeouts 4,672. Teams. Boston Red Sox 1984 to 1996. Toronto Blue Jays 1997 to 1998. New York Yankees 1999 to 2003. Houston Astros 2004 to 2006. New York Yankees 2007. Career highlights and awards. 11 times All-Star 1986, 1988, 1990 to 1992, 1997, 1998, 2001, 2003 to 2005. 2 times World Series champion 1999-2000. AL MVP 1986. 7 times Cy Young Award 1986, 1987, 1991, 1997, 1998, 2001, 2004. 2 times Triple Crown 1997, 1998. 4 times MLB wins leader 1986, 1987, 1997, 1998. 7 times ERA leader 1986, 1990 to 1992, 1997, 1998, 2005. 5 times AL strikeout leader 1988, 1991, 1996 to 1998. MLB record 20 strikeouts in a 9-inning game twice. Major League Baseball All-Century Team. Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. William Roger Clemens, born August 4th, 1962, nicknamed Rocket, is an American former professional baseball pitcher who played 24 seasons in Major League Baseball, most notably with the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees. He was one of the most dominant pitchers in Major League history, tallying 354 wins, a 3.12 earned run average ERA, and 4,672 strikeouts, the third most all-time. An 11-time MLB All-Star and 2-time World Series champion, Clemens won 7 Cy Young Awards, more than any other pitcher in history. Clemens was known for his fierce competitive nature and hard-throwing pitching style, which he used to intimidate batters. Clemens debuted in the MLB in 1984 with the Red Sox, whose pitching staff he anchored for 12 years. In 1986, he won the American League Cy Young Award, the AL Most Valuable Player Award, and the All-Star Game MVP Award, and he struck out an MLB record 20 batters in a single game. After the 1996 season, in which he achieved his second 20-strikeout performance, Clemens left Boston via free agency and joined the Toronto Blue Jays. In each of his 2 seasons with Toronto, Clemens won a Cy Young Award, as well as the pitching Triple Crown, by leading the league in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. Before the 1999 season, Clemens was traded to the Yankees, where he won his 2 World Series titles. In 2001, Clemens became the first pitcher in Major League history to start a season with a win-loss record of 20-1. In 2003, he reached his 300th win and 4,000th strikeout in the same game. Clemens left for the Houston Astros in 2004, where he spent 3 seasons and won his 7th Cy Young Award. He rejoined the Yankees in 2007 for one last season before retiring. He is the only pitcher in Major League history to record more than 350 wins and strike out more than 4,500 batters. Clemens was alleged by the Mitchell Report to have used anabolic steroids during his late career, mainly based on testimony given by his former trainer, Brian McNamee. Clemens denied these allegations under oath before the United States Congress, leading congressional leaders to refer his case to the Justice Department on suspicions of perjury. On August 19, 2010, a federal grand jury at the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., indicted Clemens on 6 felony counts involving perjury, false statements, and contempt of Congress. Clemens pleaded not guilty, but proceedings were complicated by prosecutorial misconduct, leading to a mistrial. In June 2012, Clemens was found not guilty on all 6 counts of lying to Congress. These controversies hurt his chances for election to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He never received the 75% of votes required in his 10 years of eligibility, ending with 65.2% in 2022. Early life. Clemens was born in Dayton, Ohio, the 5th child of Bill and Bess Lee Clemens. He is of German descent, his great-grandfather Joseph Clemens having immigrated in the 1880s. Clemens' parents separated when he was an infant. His mother soon married Woody Boer, whom Clemens considers his father. Boer died when Clemens was 9 years old, and Clemens has said that the only time he ever felt envious of other players was when he saw them in the clubhouse with their fathers. Clemens lived in Vandalia, Ohio, until 1977, and then spent most of his high school years in Houston, Texas. At Springwoods High School, Clemens played baseball for longtime head coach Charles Mariana, and also played football and basketball. He was scouted by the Philadelphia Phillies and Minnesota Twins during his senior year, but opted to go to college. College career. He began his college career pitching for San Jacinto College North in 1981, where he posted a 9-2 win-loss record. He then attended the University of Texas at Austin, compiling a 25-7 record in 2 All-American seasons, and was on the mound when the Longhorns won the 1983 College World Series. He became the first player to have his baseball uniform number retired at the University of Texas. In 2004, the Rotary Smith Award, given to America's best college baseball player, was changed to the Roger Clemens Award, honoring the best pitcher. At Texas, Clemens pitched 35 consecutive scoreless innings, an NCAA record that stood until Justin Pope broke it in 2001. Professional career, drafts and minor leagues. The New York Mets selected Clemens in the 12th round of the 1981 Major League Baseball draft. However, he did not sign. Clemens was selected in the first round, 19th overall, of the 1983 MLB draft by the Boston Red Sox and quickly rose through the minor league system. In 1983, Clemens pitched for 2 different teams in 2 different leagues and at 2 different levels. He pitched for the A-Ball Winter Haven Red Sox of the Florida State League and the AA New Britain Red Sox of the Eastern League. Clemens started all 4 games he played with Winter Haven and pitched 3 complete games with 1 shutout and allowed no home runs. He posted a 3-1 win-loss record, a 1.24 earned run average, struck out 36 batters in 29 innings pitched, and his walks plus hits per inning pitched was 0.759. Clemens started all 7 games he played with New Britain and pitched 1 complete game shutout and allowed 1 home run. He posted a 4-1 win-loss record, a 1.38 earned run average, struck out 59 batters in 52 innings pitched, and his walks and hits per innings pitched was 0.827. His combined minor league totals in 1983 included starting all 11 games he played and pitched 4 complete games with 2 shutouts and only 1 home run allowed. He posted a 7-2 win-loss record, a 1.33 earned run average, struck out 95 batters in 81 innings pitched, and his walks and hits per innings pitched was 0.802. Clemens started the 1984 season with AAA Pawtucket Red Sox of the International League. In 7 games, he started 6 of them, pitching 3 complete games with 1 shutout. Despite posting a 2-3 win-loss record and a walks and hits per innings pitched of 1.136, his earned run average was 1.93, and he struck out 50 batters in 46 plus 2/3 innings pitched. Boston Red Sox, 1984 to 1996. On May 15, 1984 at Cleveland Stadium, Clemens made his major league debut. An undiagnosed torn labrum threatened to end his career early. He underwent successful arthroscopic surgery by Dr. James Andrews. On April 29, 1986 at Fenway Park, in a 3-1 win over the Seattle Mariners, Clemens struck out a career-high 20 batters, becoming the first pitcher in MLB history to strike out 20 batters in a 9-inning game. Following his performance, Clemens made the cover of Sports Illustrated, which carried the headline Lord of the K's strikeouts. Other than Clemens, only Kerry Wood and Max Scherzer have matched the total. Randy Johnson fanned 20 batters in 9 innings on May 8, 2001. However, as the game went into extra innings, it is not categorized as occurring in a 9-inning game. Tom Cheney holds the record for any game, 21 strikeouts in 16 innings. Clemens started the 1986 All-Star Game, played in his hometown of Houston, in the Astrodome, and was named the most valuable player of the contest by throwing 3 perfect innings and striking out 2. He also won the first of his 7 Cy Young Awards. In 1986, Clemens won the American League MVP award, finishing with a 24-4 record, 2.48 ERA, and 238 strikeouts. When Hank Aaron said that pitchers should not be eligible for the MVP, Clemens responded, "I wish he were still playing. I'd probably crack his head open to show him how valuable I was." Clemens was the only starting pitcher since Vida Blue in 1971 to win a league MVP award until Justin Verlander won the award in 2011. Clemens attributes a switch from what he calls a thrower to a pitcher to the partial season Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver spent with the Red Sox in 1986. Facing the California Angels in the 1986 ALCS, Clemens pitched poorly in the opening game, watched the Boston bullpen blow his 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 9th inning of Game 4, and then pitched a strong Game 7 to wrap up the series for Boston. The League Championship Series clincher was Clemens' first postseason career victory. He did not win his second until 13 years later. After a victory in Game 5, Boston led 3-2 over the New York Mets in the 1986 World Series with Clemens set to start Game 6 at Shea Stadium. Clemens, who was pitching on 5 days rest, started strong by striking out 8 while throwing a no-hitter through 4 innings. In the top of 8th and with Boston ahead 3-2, manager John McNamara sent rookie Mike Greenwell to pinch hit for Roger Clemens. It was initially said that Clemens was removed from the game due to a blister forming on one of his fingers, but both he and McNamara dispute this. Clemens said to Bob Costas on an MLB Network program concerning the 1986 postseason that McNamara decided to pull him despite Clemens wanting to pitch. McNamara said to Costas that Clemens begged out of the game. The Mets rallied and took both Games 6 and 7 to win the World Series. The Red Sox had a miserable 1987 season, finishing at 78-84, though Clemens won his second consecutive Cy Young Award with a 20-9 record, 2.97 ERA, 256 strikeouts, and 7 shutouts. 2021. He was the first AL pitcher with back-to-back 20-win seasons since Tommy John won 20 with the Yankees in 1979 and 80. Boston rebounded with success in 1988 and 1990, clinching the AL East Division each year, but were swept by the Oakland Athletics in each ALCS matchup. His greatest postseason failure came in the second inning of the final game of the 1990 ALCS, when he was ejected for arguing balls and strikes with umpire Terry Cooney, accentuating the A's 4-game sweep of the Red Sox. 24. He was suspended for the first 5 games of the 1991 season and fined $10,000. Clemens led the American League in 1988 with 291 strikeouts and a career-high 8 shutouts. 25. On September 10, 1988, Clemens threw a one-hitter against the Cleveland Indians at Fenway Park. Dave Clark's one-out single in the 8th inning was the only hit Clemens allowed in the game. In a 9-1 victory over Cleveland on April 13, 1989, Clemens recorded his 1,000th career strikeout by fanning Brooke Jacoby with the bases loaded in the second inning. Clemens finished second to Oakland's Bob Welch for the 1990 Cy Young Award, despite the fact that Clemens crushed Welch in ERA 1.93 to 2.95, strikeouts 209 to 127, walks 54 to 77, home runs allowed 7 to 26, and WAR 10.4 to 2.9. Clemens did, however, capture his 3rd Cy Young Award in 1991 with an 18-10 record, 2.62 ERA, and 241 strikeouts. On June 21, 1989, Clemens surrendered the first of Sammy Sosa's 609 home runs. On September 18, 1996 at Tiger Stadium, in a 4-0 win over the Detroit Tigers, Clemens had a second 20 strikeout game. This second 20K day occurred in his third-to-last game as a member of the Boston Red Sox. Later, the Tigers presented him with a baseball containing the autographs of each batter who had struck out. Those with multiple strikeouts signed the appropriate number of times. The Red Sox did not re-sign Clemens following the 1996 season, despite leading the AL with 257 strikeouts and offering him by far the most money ever offered to a player in the history of the Red Sox franchise. General Manager Dan Duquette remarked that he hoped to keep him in Boston during the twilight of his career, but Clemens left and signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. The emphasis on the misquoted 1996 twilight comment took on a life of its own following Clemens's post-Boston successes, and Duquette was vilified for letting the star pitcher go. Ultimately, Clemens would go on to have a record of 162-73 for the rest of his career after leaving the Red Sox. Clemens recorded 192 wins and 38 shutouts for the Red Sox, both tied with Cy Young for the franchise record, and is their all-time strikeout leader with 2,590. Clemens's overall postseason record with Boston was 1-2 with a 3.88 ERA and 45 strikeouts and 19 walks in 56 innings. No Red Sox player has worn his uniform number 21 since Clemens left the team in the 1996-97 offseason. Toronto Blue Jays 1997-1998. Clemens signed a 4-year, $40 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays after the 1996 season. In his first start in Fenway Park as a member of the Blue Jays, he pitched 8 innings, allowing only 4 hits and 1 earned run. 16 of his 24 outs were strikeouts, and every batter who faced him struck out at least once. As he left the field following his last inning of work, he stared up angrily towards the owner's box. Clemens was dominant in his 2 seasons with the Blue Jays, winning the pitching Triple Crown and the Cy Young Award in both seasons. 1997, 21-7 record, 2.05 ERA and 292 strikeouts. 1998, 20-6 record, 2.65 ERA and 271 strikeouts. After the 1998 season, Clemens asked to be traded, indicating that he did not believe the Blue Jays would be competitive enough the following year and that he was dedicated to winning a championship. New York Yankees 1999-2003. Before the 1999 season, the Blue Jays traded Clemens to the New York Yankees for David Wells, Homer Bush, and Graham Lloyd. Since his longtime uniform number 21 was in use by teammate Paul O'Neill, Clemens initially wore number 12, before switching mid-season to number 22. During the 1999 regular season, Clemens posted a 14-10 record with a 4.60 ERA. He logged a pair of wins in the postseason, though he lost Game 3 of the 1999 ALCS in a matchup against Red Sox ace Pedro Martinez, which was the Yankees' only loss in the 1999 playoffs. Clemens won the Yankees' Game 4 clincher over the Atlanta Braves, giving up only 1 run in 7 2/3 innings. Clemens followed up with a strong 2000 season, in which he finished with a 13-8 record with a 3.70 ERA for the regular season. Though Clemens lost 2 games in the ALDS against Oakland, the Yankees won the other 3 and thus advanced. In Game 4 of the ALCS against Seattle, Clemens set the ALCS record for strikeouts in a game when he fanned 15 batters in a 1-hit shutout. In Game 2 of the 2000 World Series, Clemens pitched 8 scoreless innings against the New York Mets. In 2001, Clemens became the first pitcher in MLB history to start a season 20-1, finishing 20-3, and won his 6th Cy Young Award. Clemens started for the Yankees in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks, where he dueled Curt Schilling to a standstill after 6 innings, yielding only 1 run. The Diamondbacks went on to win the game in the 9th. Early in 2003, Clemens announced his retirement, effective at the end of that season. On June 13, 2003, pitching against the St. Louis Cardinals in Yankee Stadium, Clemens recorded his 300th career win and 4,000th career strikeout, the only player in history to record both milestones in the same game. The 300th win came on his fourth try. The Yankee bullpen had blown his chance of a win in his previous two attempts. He became the 21st pitcher ever to record 300 wins and the third ever to record 4,000 strikeouts. His career record upon reaching the milestones was 300 to 155. Clemens finished the season with a 17-9 record and a 3.91 ERA. The end of Clemens's 2003 season became a series of public farewells met with appreciative cheering. His last games in each AL park were given extra attention, particularly his final regular season appearance in Fenway Park, when despite wearing the uniform of the hated arch-rival, he was afforded a standing ovation by Red Sox fans as he left the field. This spectacle was repeated when the Yankees ended up playing the Red Sox in the 2003 ALCS, and Clemens got a second final start in his original stadium. As part of a tradition of manager Joe Torre, Clemens was chosen to manage the Yankees' last game of the regular season. Clemens made one start in the World Series against the Florida Marlins. When he left trailing 3-1 after 7 innings, the Marlins left their dugout to give him a standing ovation. Houston Astros, 2004 to 2006. Clemens came out of retirement, signing a one-year deal with his adopted hometown Houston Astros on January 12, 2004, joining close friend and former Yankees teammate Andy Pettitte. On May 5, 2004, Clemens recorded his 4,137th career strikeout to place him second on the all-time list behind Nolan Ryan. He was named the starter for the National League All-Star team, but ultimately was the losing pitcher in that game after allowing 6 runs on 5 hits, including a 3-run home run to Alfonso Soriano. Clemens finished the season with an 18-4 record and was awarded his 7th Cy Young Award, becoming the oldest player ever to win the Cy Young at age 42. This made him one of 6 pitchers to win the award in both leagues, joining Gaylord Perry, Pedro Martinez, and Randy Johnson, and later joined by Roy Halladay and Max Scherzer. Clemens was a losing pitcher for the Astros in Game 7 of the 2004 NLCS against the St. Louis Cardinals, allowing 4 runs in 6 innings. Although he pitched well, he tired in the 6th inning, surrendering all 4 runs. Clemens again decided to put off retirement before the 2005 season after the Astros offered salary arbitration. The Astros submitted an offer of $13.5 million, and Clemens countered with a record $22 million demand. On January 21, 2005, both sides agreed on a 1-year, $18 million and $22 contract, thus avoiding arbitration. The deal gave Clemens the highest yearly salary earned by a pitcher in MLB history. Clemens's 2005 season ended as one of the finest he had ever posted. His 1.87 ERA was the lowest in the major leagues, the lowest of his 22-season career, and the lowest by any National Leaguer since Greg Maddux in 1995. He finished with a 13-8 record, with his lower win total primarily due to the fact that he ranked near the bottom of the major leagues in run support. The Astros scored an average of only 3.5 runs per game in games in which he was the pitcher of record. The Astros were shut out 9 times in Clemens's 32 starts and failed to score in a 10th until after Clemens was out of the game. The Astros lost 5 of Clemens's starts by scores of 1-0. In April, Clemens did not allow a run in 3 consecutive starts. However, the Astros lost all 3 of those starts by a 1-0 score in extra innings. Clemens won an emotional start on September 15th, following his mother's death that morning. 45, in his final start of the 2005 season, Clemens got his 4,500th strikeout. On October 9th, 2005, Clemens made his first relief appearance since 1984, entering as a pinch hitter in the 15th, then pitching 3 innings to get the win as the Astros defeated the Atlanta Braves in Game 4 of the NLDS. It is the longest postseason game in MLB history at 18 innings. Clemens lasted only 2 innings in Game 1 of the 2005 World Series, and the Astros went on to be swept by the Chicago White Sox. It was the Astros' first World Series appearance. Clemens had aggravated a hamstring pull that had limited his performance since at least September. Clemens said that he would retire again after the World Series, but he wanted to represent the United States in the inaugural World Baseball Classic, which would be played in March 2006. 48, he went 1-1 in the tournament with a 2.08 ERA, striking out 10 batters in 8 2/3 innings. 49, after pitching in a second-round loss to Mexico that eliminated the United States, Clemens began considering a return to the major leagues. On May 31st, 2006, following another extended period of speculation, it was announced that Clemens was coming out of retirement for the third time to pitch for the Astros for the remainder of the 2006 season. Clemens signed a contract worth $22,022, his uniform number 22. Since Clemens did not play a full season, he received a prorated percentage of that, approximately $12.25 million. Clemens made his return on June 22, 2006, against the Minnesota Twins, losing to their rookie phenom, Francisco Liriano, 4-2. For the second year in a row, his win total did not match his performance, as he finished the season with a 7-6 record, a 2.30 ERA, and a 1.04 whip. However, Clemens averaged just under 6 innings in his starts and never pitched into the 8th. Return to the Yankees 2007. Clemens unexpectedly appeared in the owner's box at Yankee Stadium on May 6, 2007, during the 7th-inning stretch of a game against the Seattle Mariners and made a brief statement. "Thank y'all. Well, they came and got me out of Texas, and I can tell you it's a privilege to be back. I'll be talking to y'all soon." It was simultaneously announced that Clemens had rejoined the Yankees roster, agreeing to a prorated one-year deal worth $28,022, or about $4.7 million per month. 52 over the contract life, he would make $18.7 million. This equated to just over $1 million per start that season. Clemens made his 2007 return on June 9th, defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates by pitching 6 innings with 7 strikeouts and 3 runs allowed. On June 21st, with a single in the 5th inning against the Colorado Rockies, Clemens became the oldest New York Yankee to record a hit 44 years, 321 days. On June 24th, Clemens pitched an inning in relief against the San Francisco Giants. It had been 22 years and 341 days since his previous regular season relief appearance, the longest such gap in Major League history. On July 2nd, Clemens collected his 350th win against the Minnesota Twins at Yankee Stadium, giving up just 2 hits and 1 run over 8 innings. Clemens is one of only 3 pitchers to pitch his entire career in the live ball era and reach 350 wins. The other 2 are Warren Spahn, whose catcher for his 350th win was Joe Torre, Clemens's manager for his 350th, and Greg Maddux, who earned his 350th win in 2008. His final regular season appearance was a start against the Red Sox at Fenway Park, in which he allowed 2 hits and 1 unearned run in 6 innings and received a no decision. Clemens finished the 2007 regular season with a record of 6-6 and a 4.18 ERA. Clemens was forced to leave Game 3 of the 2007 ALDS in the 3rd inning after aggravating a hamstring injury. He struck out Victor Martinez of the Cleveland Indians with his final pitch and was replaced by right-hander Phil Hughes. Yankees manager Joe Torre removed Clemens from the roster due to his injury and replaced him with left-hander Ron Vallone. Clemens's overall postseason record with the Yankees was 7-4 with a 2.97 ERA, 98 strikeouts and 35 walks in 102 innings. Pitching appearances after retirement. On August 20th, 2012, Clemens signed with the Sugar Land Skeeters of the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. He made his debut for the Skeeters against the Bridgeport Bluefish on August 25, 2012, in front of a crowd of 7,724. It was the first time the 50-year-old had taken the mound in almost 5 years. Clemens pitched 3 1/3 scoreless innings and struck out 2, former major leaguers Joey Gathright and Prentice Redman. He also retired Luis Figueroa, who played briefly with the Pirates, Blue Jays, and the Giants. Clemens allowed only one hit and no walks on 37 pitches in the Skeeters' 1-0 victory. Clemens made his second start for the Skeeters on September 7th against the Long Island Ducks. He pitched 4 2/3 scoreless innings with his son Kobe as his catcher. He retired former New York Met outfielder Timo Perez for the final out in the 4th inning and was named the winning pitcher by the official scorer. Clemens's fastball was clocked as high as 88 miles per hour, and the Astros sent scouts to both of his outings with the Skeeters in consideration of a possible return to the team that season. Roger Clemens joined the Kansas Stars, a group of 24 retired major leaguers and his son Kobe, to compete in the 2016 National Baseball Congress World Series. The team was put together by Kansas natives Adam LaRoche and Nate Robertson and featured 11 former All-Stars, including Tim Hudson, Roy Oswalt, and J.D. Drew, as well as Clemens. Pitching just 6 days after his 54th birthday, Clemens started for the Kansas Stars in a game against the NJCAA national team on August 10, 2016. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, allowing 3 runs with 1 strikeout in an 11-10 loss. On August 22, 2019, Clemens wore his Red Sox uniform and pitched in the Abbott Financial Management Old Time Baseball Game, an annual charity event held at St. Peter's Field in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The 2019 game benefited Compassionate Care ALS in memory of longtime Fenway Park supervisor John Welch, who died from Lou Gehrig's disease in December 2018. Facing mostly young college players, Clemens pitched 2 shutout innings in the game, then moved to first base. National Baseball Hall of Fame consideration. In 2013 Baseball Hall of Fame balloting, his first year of eligibility, Clemens received 37.6% of the votes cast by the Baseball Writers Association of America, falling well short of the 75% required for induction into the Hall of Fame. He has garnered more votes in subsequent elections without reaching the 75% threshold. He received 59.5% in 2019, 61% in 2020, and 61.6% in 2021. With the inductions of Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine in 2014 and Randy Johnson in 2015, Clemens is currently the only eligible member of the 300-win club not to be inducted into the Hall. He received 65.2% of the votes in his final year of eligibility, 2022. Despite falling off the ballot, Clemens is still eligible for induction through the Hall of Fame's Today's Game Committee. The committee is composed of 16 members of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, executives, and veteran media members. Hence the nickname of Veterans Committee, who consider retired players who lost ballot eligibility while still having made notable contributions to baseball from 1986 to 2016. The most recent voting by the committee was held in December 2022, and 12 votes were required for induction. Clemens received fewer than 4 votes out of 16 cast, and as a result was not selected for induction. Pitching style. Clemens was a prototypical power pitcher with an aggressive edge, especially early in his career. Clemens was said to throw 2 pitches, a 98 miles per hour fastball and a hard breaking ball. At 23, Clemens simply reared back and threw the ball past batters. Later in his career, Clemens developed a split-finger fastball. Clemens has jocularly referred to this pitch as Mr. Splitty. By the time Clemens retired from Major League Baseball in 2007, his 4-seam fastball had settled in the 91 to 94 miles per hour range. He also threw a 2-seam fastball, a slider in the mid-80s, a splitter, and an occasional curveball. Clemens was a durable pitcher, leading the American League in complete games 3 times and innings pitched twice. Clemens threw 18 complete games in 1987, which no pitcher has since matched. Clemens was also known as a strikeout pitcher, leading the AL in KS 5 times and strikeouts per 9 innings 3 times. He is currently the only pitcher in Major League history to have thrown 2 20-strikeout games. Controversies. Clemens has a reputation of a pitcher unafraid to throw close to batters. Clemens led his league in hit batsmen only once, in 1995, but he was among the leaders in several other seasons. This tendency was more pronounced during his earlier career and subsequently tapered off. After the 2000 ALCS game against the Mariners, where he knocked down future teammate Alex Rodriguez and then argued with him, Seattle Mariners manager Lou Piniella, a former Yankee, called Clemens a headhunter. His beating earlier that year of Mike Piazza, followed by throwing a broken bat in Piazza's direction in the 2000 World Series, cemented Clemens' surly, unapologetic image in the minds of many. In 2009, former manager Cito Gaston publicly denounced Clemens as a double talker and a complete asshole. Clemens was ranked 14th all-time in hit batsmen after the 2020 season, although not far off from other pitchers of his era at one hit batsman per 125 batters faced. Numbers reflect similar rate of hit batsmen to pitchers such as Nolan Ryan, Justin Verlander, and Greg Maddux. Clemens has attracted controversy over the years for his outspoken comments, such as his complaints about having to carry his own luggage through an airport and his criticism of Fenway Park for being a subpar facility. On April 4, 2006, Clemens made an insulting remark when asked about the devotion of Japanese and South Korean fans during the World Baseball Classic. None of the dry cleaners were open. They were all at the game, Japan and Korea. Toward the end of his career, his annual on and off retirements revived a reputation for diva-like behavior. Clemens has received criticism for getting special treatment from the teams that sign him. While playing for Houston, Clemens was not obliged to travel with the team on road trips if he was not pitching. His 2007 contract with the New York Yankees had a family plan clause that stipulated that he not be required to go on road trips in which he was not scheduled to pitch, and allowed him to leave the team between starts to be with his family. These perks were publicly criticized by Yankee reliever Kyle Farnsworth. Most of Clemens' teammates, however, did not complain of such perks because of Clemens' success on the mound and valuable presence in the clubhouse. Yankee teammate Jason Giambi spoke for such players when he said, "I carry his bags for him, just as long as he is on the mound." Steroid use accusations. In Jose Canseco's book, Juiced, Wild Times, Rampant Roids, Smash Hits, and How Baseball Got Big, Canseco suggested that Clemens had expert knowledge about steroids and suggested that he used them based on the improvement in his performance after leaving the Red Sox. While not addressing the allegations directly, Clemens stated, "I could care less about the rules sick, and I've talked to some friends of his, and I've teased them that when you're under house arrest and have ankle bracelets on, you have a lot of time to write a book." Jason Grimsley named Clemens, as well as Andy Pettitte, as a user of performance-enhancing drugs. According to a 20-page search warrant affidavit signed by IRS Special Agent Jeff Nowitzki, Grimsley told investigators he obtained amphetamines, anabolic steroids, and human growth hormone from someone recommended to him by former Yankees trainer Brian McNamee. McNamee was a personal strength coach for Clemens and Pettitte, hired by Clemens in 1998. At the time of the Grimsley revelations, McNamee denied knowledge of steroid use by Clemens and Pettitte. Despite initial media reports, the affidavit made no mention of Clemens or Pettitte. However, Clemens' name was mentioned 82 times in the Mitchell Report on steroid use in baseball. In the report, McNamee stated that during the 1998, 2000, and 2001 baseball seasons, he injected Clemens with Winstrol. Clemens' attorney Rusty Hardin denied the claims, calling McNamee a troubled and unreliable witness who has changed his story 5 times in an attempt to avoid criminal prosecution. He noted that Clemens has never tested positive in a steroid test. Former U.S. Senator George Mitchell, who prepared the report, stated that he relayed the allegations to each athlete implicated in the report and gave them a chance to respond before his findings were published. On January 6, 2008, Clemens went on 60 Minutes to address the allegations. He told Mike Wallace that his longevity in baseball was due to hard work rather than illegal substances, and denied all of McNamee's assertions that he injected Clemens with steroids, saying it never happened. On January 7th, Clemens filed a defamation lawsuit against McNamee, claiming that the former trainer lied after being threatened with prosecution. McNamee's attorneys argued that he was compelled to cooperate by federal officials, and so his statements were protected. A federal judge agreed, throwing out all claims related to McNamee's statements to investigators on February 13, 2009, but allowing the case to proceed on statements McNamee made about Clemens to Petit. On February 13, 2008, Clemens appeared before a congressional committee, along with Brian McNamee, and swore under oath that he did not take steroids, that he did not discuss HGH with McNamee, that he did not attend a party at Jose Canseco's where steroids were the topic of conversation, that he was only injected with B12 and lidocaine, and that he never told Petit he had taken HGH. This last point was in contradiction to testimony Petit had given under oath on February 4, 2008, wherein Petit said he repeated to McNamee a conversation Petit had with Clemens. During this conversation, Petit said Clemens had told him that McNamee had injected Clemens with human growth hormone. Petit said McNamee reacted angrily, saying that Clemens shouldn't have done that. The bipartisan House committee in front of which Clemens appeared, citing 7 apparent inconsistencies in Clemens's testimony, recommended that the Justice Department investigate whether Clemens lied under oath about using performance-enhancing drugs. In a letter sent February 27 to Attorney General Michael Mukasey, House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Henry Waxman, and Ranking Republican Tom Davis, said Clemens's testimony that he never used anabolic steroids or human growth hormone warrants further investigation. As a result of the Mitchell report, Clemens was asked to end his involvement with the Gift Nielsen Day of Golf for Kids Charity Tournament in Houston that he has hosted for 4 years. As well, his name has been removed from the Houston-based Roger Clemens Institute for Sports Medicine and will be renamed the Memorial Hermann Sports Medicine Institute, after Washington prosecutors showed a renewed interest in the case in the final months of 2008. A federal grand jury was convened in January 2009 to hear evidence of Clemens's possible perjury before Congress. 102. The grand jury indicted Clemens on August 19, 2010, on charges of making false statements to Congress about his use of performance-enhancing drugs. The indictment charges Clemens with 1 count of obstruction of Congress, 3 counts of making false statements, and 2 counts of perjury in connection with his February 2008 testimony. His first trial began on July 13, 2011, but on the second day of testimony, the judge in the case declared a mistrial over prosecutorial misconduct after prosecutors showed the jury prejudicial evidence they were not allowed to. Clemens was subsequently retried. The verdict from his second trial came in on June 18, 2012. Clemens was found not guilty on all 6 counts of lying to Congress in 2008, when he testified that he never took performance-enhancing drugs. In January 2016, after Clemens once again fell short of the votes required for election into the Hall of Fame, former Major League star Roy Halladay tweeted, "No Clemens, no bonds. As part of a message indicating no performance-enhancing substance, users should be voted into the Hall." Clemens countered by accusing Halladay of using amphetamines during his playing career. Filmography. Clemens has appeared as himself in several movies and television episodes, and has also occasionally acted in films. Perhaps best known was his appearance in the Season 3 episode of The Simpsons, Homer at the Bat, in which he is recruited to the Springfield Nuclear Plant softball team, but is accidentally hypnotized into thinking he is a chicken. In addition to his lines, Clemens voiced his own clucking. Clemens has also made guest appearances as himself on the TV shows Hope and Faith, Spin City, Arlie Dollar Dollar, and Saturday Night Live, as well as the movie Anger Management, and makes a brief appearance in the movie Kingpin as the character Skidmark. He also is shown playing an actual game with the Houston Astros in the film Boyhood. He appeared in the 1994 movie Cobb as an unidentified pitcher for the Philadelphia A's. In 2003, he was part of an advertising campaign for Armour hot dogs with MLB players Ken Griffey Jr., Derek Jeter, and Sammy Sosa. Since 2005, Clemens has also appeared in many commercials for Texas-based supermarket chain H-E-B. In 2007, he appeared on a baseball-themed episode of Mythbusters, Baseball Myths. He has also starred in a commercial for Singular parodying his return from retirement. He was calling his wife, Deborah Godfrey, and a dropped call resulted in his return to the Yankees. He released an early autobiography, Rocket Man, the Roger Clemens story, written with Peter Gammons, in 1987. Clemens is also the spokesperson for Champion Car dealerships in South Texas. In April 2009, Clemens was the subject of an unauthorized biography by Jeff Pullman, titled The Rocket That Fell to Earth, Roger Clemens and the Rage for Baseball Immortality, that focused on his childhood and early career and accused Mike Piazza of using steroids. On May 12th, Clemens broke a long silence to denounce a heavily researched expose by 4 investigative reporters from the New York Daily News called American Icon: The Fall of Roger Clemens and the Rise of Steroids in America's Pastime. Clemens went on ESPN's Mike and Mike show to call the book garbage, but a review by Michiko Kakutani of the New York Times called the book gripping and compared it to the work of Bob Woodward. Awards and recognition. In 1999, while many of his performances and milestones were yet to come, he ranked number 53 on the Sporting News list of the 100 greatest baseball players, and was elected by the fans to the Major League Baseball All-Century Team. 115 in 2005, the updated Sporting News list moved Clemens up to number 15. By the end of the 2005 season, Clemens had won 7 Cy Young Awards. He won the AL Award in 1986, 1987, 1991, 1997, 1998, and 2001, and the National League Award in 2004, an MVP and 2 pitching Triple Crowns. With his 2004 win, he joined Gaylord Perry, Randy Johnson, and Pedro Martinez as the only pitchers to win it in both leagues and became the oldest pitcher to ever win the Cy Young. He has also won the Sporting News Pitcher of the Year award 5 times, was named an All-Star 11 times, and won the All-Star MVP in 1986. In October 2006, Clemens was named to Sports Illustrated's all-time team. On August 18, 2007, Clemens got his 1,000th strikeout as a Yankee. He is only the 9th player in Major League history to record 1,000 or more strikeouts with 2 different teams. Clemens has recorded a total of 2,590 strikeouts as a member of the Red Sox and 1,014 strikeouts as a Yankee. He also had 563 strikeouts for Toronto and 505 strikeouts for Houston. Clemens was inducted into the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame in 2014 and was inducted into the Pawtucket Red Sox Hall of Fame on June 21, 2019. Personal life. Clemens married Deborah Lynn Godfrey, born May 27, 1963, on November 24, 1984. The couple has 4 sons: Kobe Aaron, Corey Allen, Casey Austin, and Cody Alec, all given K names to honor Clemens' strikeouts, KS. Kobe was at one time a minor league prospect for some MLB clubs. Casey played college baseball for the Texas Longhorns. Cody also played college baseball for the Texas Longhorns and made his major league debut with the Detroit Tigers on May 31, 2022. Deborah once left a Red Sox game when Clemens pitched for another team, in tears from the heckling she received. This is documented in an updated edition of Dan Shaughnessy's best-selling book, Curse of the Bambino. Deborah was quoted in the book as saying that it was the poor attitude of Red Sox fans that prevented the team from winning the World Series. This was quoted prior to the team's 2004 World Series victory. Clemens is a member of the Republican Party and donated money to Texas Congressman Ted Poe during his 2006 campaign. Deborah posed in a bikini with her husband for a Sports Illustrated pictorial regarding athletes and their wives. This appeared in the annual Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition for 2003. Roger wore his Yankees uniform with the jersey open on February 27, 2006, to train for the World Baseball Classic. Roger pitched in an exhibition game between the Astros and his son's minor league team. In his first at-bat, Kobe hit a home run off his father. In his next at-bat, Roger threw an inside pitch that almost hit Kobe. Kobe laughed in an interview after the game about the incident. Adultery accusations. In April 2008, the New York Daily News reported on a possible long-term relationship between Clemens and country music singer Mindy McCready that began when she was 15 years old. Clemens' attorney Rusty Hardin denied the affair and also stated that Clemens would be bringing a defamation suit regarding this allegation. Clemens' attorney admitted that a relationship existed, but described McCready as a close family friend. He also stated that McCready had traveled on Clemens's personal jet and that Clemens's wife was aware of the relationship. However, when contacted by the Daily News, McCready said, "I cannot refute anything in the story." On November 17, 2008, McCready spoke in more detail to Inside Edition about her affair with Clemens, saying their relationship lasted for more than a decade and that it ended when Clemens refused to leave his wife to marry her. However, she denied that she was 15 years old when it began, saying that they met when she was 16 and the affair only became sexual several years later. In another soon-to-be-released sex tape by Vivid Entertainment, she claimed that the first time she had sex with him was when she was 21. A few days after the Daily News broke the story about the McCready relationship, they reported on another Clemens extramarital relationship, this time with Paulette Dean Daly, the now ex-wife of pro golfer John Daly. Daly declined to elaborate on the nature of her relationship with the pitcher, but did not deny that it was romantic and included financial support. There have been reports of Clemens having at least 3 other affairs with women. On April 29, 2008, the New York Post reported that Clemens had relationships with 2 or more women. One, a former bartender in Manhattan, refused comment on the story, while another, a woman from Tampa, could not be located. On May 2nd of the same year, the Daily News reported a stripper in Detroit called a local radio station and said she had an affair with Clemens. He also gave tickets to baseball games, jewelry, and trips to women he was wooing. Well, that is another profile video. I hope you enjoyed. If you happen to have any thoughts about Roger Clemens, let me know in the comments. I like to read them. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye. Welcome. Autograph Fisherman here, and I have a profile video for you. Today it is Bob McMillin, born December 3rd, 1952. Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, Canada. Occupations: athlete, politician, business person. Political party, Progressive Conservative. Ice hockey career. Height 5 feet 11 inches, 180 centimeters. Weight 185 pounds, 84 kilograms. 13 stone 3 pounds. Position center. Shot left. Played for Minnesota Fighting Saints, New York Rangers, St. Louis Blues, Atlanta Flames, Calgary Flames, Colorado Rockies, New Jersey Devils, Chicago Blackhawks, NHL Draft 15th overall, 1972, New York Rangers, playing career 1972 to 1985. Robert Leah McMillan, born December 3, 1952, is a Canadian former professional ice hockey forward and a former politician who served in the Legislative Assembly of Prince Edward Island. During his hockey career, he played 2 seasons in the World Hockey Association, followed by 11 seasons in the National Hockey League from 1974 to 75 until 1984 to 85. He helped the Calgary Flames reach the NHL playoff semifinals for the first time in 1981. Hockey career. As a youth, McMillan played in the 1964 and 1965 Quebec International Pee Wee hockey tournaments with a minor ice hockey team from Charlottetown. He was drafted 15th overall by the New York Rangers in the 1972 NHL Amateur Draft. He was traded along with Dick Redmond, Yves Belangi, and a second-round selection in the 1979 NHL Entry Draft, 23rd overall, Mike Perovich, from the St. Louis Blues to the Atlanta Flames for Phil Meyer, Kurt Bennett, and Barry Gibbs on December 12, 1977. Upon his retirement, McMillan returned to Charlottetown to coach senior hockey. After 2 years behind the bench, he made a brief comeback to the ice when he dressed for 2 games with the Charlottetown Islanders in the 1987 to 88 season and scored 4 points. Political career. McMillan served in the Prince Edward Island legislature from 2000 to 2003 as part of Pat Binns' Progressive Conservative government. Personal life. McMillan is the brother of former player and coach Bill McMillan. McMillan is the father of Logan McMillan, the first-round pick, 19th overall, of the Anaheim Ducks in the 2007 NHL entry draft, Brad McMillan, owner of Chuck Hatchett's and the Whiskey Pub and Kitchen, and Cole McMillan, who most recently played hockey at University of Prince Edward Island. He currently owns and operates the Sport Page Club, a sports bar in downtown Charlottetown. Well, that was another profile video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts about Bob McMillan, let me know in the comments. I like to read them. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye.
Join myself and JD Delay in fighting chomos and other bad thing by shopping at Convict Clothing. There are some amazing cloths for all at great prices. Nationwide free shipping for any order over $50. Just use the keyword autograph for a discount. And while you are shopping, also check out my store and perhaps become a member for only 99 cents. Both stores' links are in the description. Back to the video.
Welcome, Autograph Fisherman here, and I have a profile video for you. Today it is the great Ted Williams, left fielder / manager. Born August 30th, 1918. San Diego, California, U.S. Died July 5, 2002, aged 83. Inverness, Florida, U.S. Batted left. Through MLB debut April 20th, 1939. For the Boston Red Sox. Last MLB appearance September 28, 1960. For the Boston Red Sox. MLB statistics. Batting average .344. Hits 2,654. Home runs 521. Runs batted in 1,839. On-base percentage .482. Managerial record 273 wins, 364 losses. Winning percent .429 teams. Player. Boston Red Sox, 1939 to 1942, 1946 to 1960. As manager. Washington Senators / Texas Rangers, 1969 to 1972. Career highlights and awards. 19 times All-Star, 1940 to 1942, 1946 to 1951, 1953, 1960 Superscript 2. 2 times All-MVP, 1946, 1949. 2 times Triple Crown, 1942, 1947. 6 times AL Batting Champion, 1941, 1942, 1947, 1948, 1957, 1958. 4 times AL Home Run Leader, 1941, 1942, 1947, 1949. 4 times AL RBI Leader, 1939, 1942, 1947, 1949. MLB record .482 career on-base percentage. Boston Red Sox number 9 retired. Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. San Diego Padres Hall of Fame. Major League Baseball All-Century Team. Major League Baseball All-Time Team. Member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Induction 1966. Vote 93.4%, first ballot. Theodore Samuel Williams, August 30th, 1918 to July 5, 2002, was an American professional baseball player and manager. He played his entire 19-year Major League Baseball (MLB) career, primarily as a left fielder, for the Boston Red Sox from 1939 to 1960. His career was interrupted by military service during World War II and the Korean War. Nicknamed Teddy Ballgame, the Kid, the Splendid Splinter, and the Thumper, Williams is widely regarded as one of the greatest hitters in baseball history, in addition to being the last player to hit over .400 in a season. Williams was a 19-time All-Star, a 2-time recipient of the AL Most Valuable Player Award, a 6-time AL Batting Champion, and a 2-time Triple Crown winner. He finished his playing career with a .344 batting average, 521 home runs, and a 1.116 on-base plus slugging percentage, the third highest of all time. His career batting average is the highest of any MLB player whose career was played primarily after World War II, and ranks 11th all-time. Born and raised in San Diego, Williams played baseball throughout his youth. After joining the Red Sox in 1939, he immediately emerged as one of the sport's best hitters. In 1941, Williams posted a .406 batting average. He is the last baseball player to bat over .400 in a season. Williams's .482 on-base percentage is the highest of all time. Williams followed this up by winning his first Triple Crown in 1942. Williams was required to interrupt his baseball career in 1943 to serve 3 years in the United States Navy and Marine Corps during World War II. Upon returning to MLB in 1946, Williams won his first AL MVP award and played in his only World Series. In 1947, he won his second Triple Crown. Williams was returned to active military duty for portions of the 1952 and 1953 seasons to serve as a Marine combat aviator in the Korean War. In 1957 and 1958, at the ages of 39 and 40 respectively, he was the AL batting champion for the 5th and 6th time. Williams retired from playing in 1960. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1966. In his first year of eligibility, Williams managed the Washington Senators/Texas Rangers franchise from 1969 to 1972. An avid sport fisherman, he hosted a television program about fishing and was inducted into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. Williams' involvement in the Jimmy Fund helped raise millions in dollars for cancer care and research. In 1991, President George H.W. Bush presented Williams with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award bestowed by the United States government. He was selected for the Major League Baseball All-Time Team in 1997 and the Major League Baseball All-Century Team in 1999. Early life. Williams was born in San Diego, California, on August 30, 1918, and named Teddy Samuel Williams after former President Theodore Teddy Roosevelt as well as his father Samuel Stewart Williams. Williams himself claimed that his middle name was in honor of a maternal uncle, whose name was actually Daniel Venzer, who had been killed in World War I. He disliked the name Teddy and later amended his birth certificate to say Theodore instead. His father was a soldier, sheriff, and photographer from Ardsley, New York, who had served in the United States Army and was a veteran of Philippine-American War. His mother, May Venzer, American from El Paso, Texas, was an evangelist and lifelong soldier in the Salvation Army. Williams resented his mother's long hours working in the Salvation Army, and Williams and his brother cringed when she took them to the Army's street corner revivals. Williams' paternal ancestors were a mix of Welsh, English, and Irish. The maternal Spanish-Mexican side of Williams' family was quite diverse, having Basque, Russian, and American Indian roots. Of his Mexican ancestry, he said that, "If I had my mother's name, there is no doubt I would have run into problems in those days, considering the prejudices people had in Southern California." Williams lived in San Diego's North Park neighborhood, 4121 Utah Street. At the age of 8, he was taught how to throw a baseball by his uncle, Saul Venzer. Saul was one of his mother's 4 brothers, as well as a former semi-professional baseball player who had pitched against Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Joe Gordon in an exhibition game. As a child, Williams' heroes were Pepper Martin of the St. Louis Cardinals and Bill Terry of the New York Giants. Williams graduated from Herbert Hoover High School in San Diego, where he played baseball as a pitcher and was the star of the team. During this time, he also played American Legion Baseball, later being named the 1960 American Legion Baseball Graduate of the Year. Though he had offers from the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Yankees while he was still in high school, his mother thought he was too young to leave home, so he signed up with the local Pacific Coast League club, the San Diego Padres. Professional career. Minor leagues, 1936 to 1938. Williams played backup behind Vince DiMaggio and Ivy Shiver on the then Pacific Coast League's San Diego Padres. While in the Pacific Coast League in 1936, Williams met future teammates and friends Dom DiMaggio and Bobby Doerr, who were on the Pacific Coast League's San Francisco Seals. When Shiver announced he was quitting to become a high school football coach in Savannah, Georgia, the job by default was open for Williams. Williams posted a .271 batting average on 107 at-bats in 42 games for the Padres in 1936. Unknown to Williams, he had caught the eye of the Boston Red Sox's general manager, Eddie Collins, while Collins was scouting Bobby Doerr and the shortstop George Myatt in August 1936. Collins later explained, "It wasn't hard to find Ted Williams. He stood out like a brown cow in a field of white cows." In the 1937 season, after graduating from Hoover High in the winter, Williams finally broke into the lineup on June 22, when he hit an inside-the-park home run to help the Padres win 3-2. The Padres ended up winning the PCL title, while Williams ended up hitting .291 with 23 home runs. Meanwhile, Collins kept in touch with Padres general manager Bill Lane, calling him 2 times throughout the season. In December 1937, during the winter meetings, the deal was made between Lane and Collins, sending Williams to the Boston Red Sox and giving Lane $35,000 and 2 major leaguers, Dom D'Alessandro and Al Nemec, and 2 other minor leaguers. In 1938, the 19-year-old Williams was 10 days late to spring training camp in Sarasota, Florida, because of a flood in California that blocked the railroads. Williams had to borrow $200 from a bank to make the trip from San Diego to Sarasota. Also during spring training, Williams was nicknamed the Kid by Red Sox equipment manager Johnny Orlando, who after Williams arrived to Sarasota for the first time said, "The Kid has arrived." Orlando still called Williams the Kid 20 years later, and the nickname stuck with Williams the rest of his life. Williams remained in Major League spring training for about a week. Williams was then sent to the AA-League Minneapolis Millers. While in the Millers training camp for the springtime, Williams met Rogers Hornsby, who had hit over .4003 times, including a .424 average in 1924. Hornsby, who was a coach for the Millers that spring, gave Williams useful advice, including how to get a good pitch to hit. Talking with the game's greats would become a pattern for Williams, who also talked with Hugh Duffy, who hit .438 in 1894, Bill Terry, who hit .401 in 1930, and Ty Cobb, with whom he would argue that a batter should hit up on the ball, opposed to Cobb's view that a batter should hit down on the ball. While in Minnesota, Williams quickly became the team's star. He collected his first hit in the Millers' first game of the season, as well as his first and second home runs during his third game. Both were inside-the-park home runs, with a second traveling an estimated 500 feet, 150 meters, on the fly to a 512-foot, 156 m, center field fence. 28. Williams later had a 22-game hitting streak that lasted from Memorial Day through mid-June. While the Millers ended up 6th place in an 8-team race, Williams ended up hitting .366 with 46 home runs and 142 RBIs. He received the American Association's Triple Crown and finished second in the voting for Most Valuable Player. Major Leagues, 1939 to 1942, 1946 to 1960, 1939 to 1940. Williams came to spring training 3 days late in 1939, thanks to Williams driving from California to Florida, as well as respiratory problems, the latter of which would plague Williams for the rest of his career. In the winter, the Red Sox traded right fielder Ben Chapman to the Cleveland Indians to make room for Williams on the roster, even though Chapman had hit .340 in the previous season. This led Boston Globe sports journalist Jerry Moore to quip, "Not since Joe DiMaggio broke in with the Yankees by 5-for-5 in St. Petersburg in 1936. Has any baseball rookie received the nationwide publicity that has been accorded this spring to Theodore Francis Sick Williams." Williams inherited Chapman's number 9 on his uniform as opposed to Williams' number 5 in the previous spring training. He made his major league debut against the New York Yankees on April 20th, going 1-for-4 against Yankee pitcher Red Ruffing. This was the only game which featured both Williams and Lou Gehrig playing against one another. In his first series at Fenway Park, Williams hit a double, a home run, and a triple, the first 2 against Cotton Pippen, who gave Williams his first strikeout as a professional while Williams had been in San Diego. By July, Williams was hitting just .280, but leading the league in RBIs. Johnny Orlando, now Williams' friend, then gave Williams a quick pep talk, telling Williams that he should hit .335 with 35 home runs and he would drive in 150 runs. Williams said he would buy Orlando a Cadillac if this all came true. Williams ended up hitting .327 with 31 home runs and 145 RBIs, leading the league in the latter category, the first rookie to lead the league in RBIs and finishing fourth in MVP voting. He also led the AL in walks, with 107, a rookie record. Even though there was not a Rookie of the Year award yet in 1939, Babe Ruth declared Williams to be the Rookie of the Year, which Williams later said was good enough for me. Williams' pay doubled in 1940, going from $5,000 to $10,000. A new bullpen was added in right field of Fenway Park, reducing the distance from home plate from 400 feet to 380 feet, and earning the nickname Williamsburg for being obviously designed for Williams. Williams was then switched from right field to left field, as there would be less sun in his eyes, and it would give Dom DiMaggio a chance to play center. Finally, Williams was flip-flopped in the order with the great slugger Jimmy Fox, with the idea that Williams would get more pitches to hit. 39 pitchers, though, proved willing to pitch around the eagle-eyed Williams in favor of facing the 32-year-old Fox, the reigning AL home run champion, followed by the still highly productive 33-year-old Joe Cronin, the player-manager. Williams also made his first of 16 All-Star Game appearances in 1940, going 0-for-2. Although Williams hit .344, his power and runs batted in were down from the previous season, with 23 home runs and 113 RBIs. Williams also caused a controversy in mid-August when he called his salary peanuts, along with saying he hated the city of Boston and reporters, leading reporters to lash back at him, saying that he should be traded. Williams said that the only real fun he had in 1940 was being able to pitch once on August 24, when he pitched the last 2 innings in a 12-1 loss to the Detroit Tigers, allowing 1 earned run on 3 hits, while striking out 1 batter, Rudy York. 1941. In the second week of spring training in 1941, Williams broke a bone in his right ankle, limiting him to pinch hitting for the first 2 weeks of the season. Bobby Doerr later claimed that the injury would be the foundation of Williams' season, as it forced him to put less pressure on his right foot for the rest of the season. Against the Chicago White Sox on May 7, in extra innings, Williams told the Red Sox pitcher, Charlie Wagner, to hold the White Sox, since he was going to hit a home run. In the 11th inning, Williams' prediction came true, as he hit a big blast to help the Red Sox win. The home run is still considered to be the longest home run ever hit in the old Comiskey Park, some saying that it went 600 feet, 180 meters. Williams' average slowly climbed in the first half of May, and on May 15, he started a 22-game hitting streak. From May 17 to June 1, Williams batted .536, with his season average going above .400 on May 25 and then continuing up to .430. By the All-Star break, Williams was hitting .406 with 62 RBIs and 16 home runs. In the 1941 All-Star Game, Williams batted 4th behind Joe DiMaggio, who was in the midst of his record-breaking hitting streak, having hit safely in 48 consecutive games. In the 4th inning, Williams doubled to drive in a run. With the National League leading 5-2 in the 8th inning, Williams struck out in the middle of an American League rally. In the 9th inning, the AL still trailed 5-3. Ken Keltner and Joe Gordon singled, and Cecil Travis walked to load the bases. DiMaggio grounded to the infield, and Billy Herman, attempting to complete a double play, threw wide of first base, allowing Keltner to score. With the score 5-4 and runners on first and third, Williams homered with his eyes closed to secure a 7-5 AL win. Williams later said that game-winning home run remains to this day the most thrilling hit of my life. In late August, Williams was hitting .402. 53. Williams said that just about everybody was rooting for me to hit .400 in the season, including Yankee fans, who gave pitcher Lefty Gomez a hell of a boo after walking Williams with the bases loaded after Williams had gotten 3 straight hits one game in September. In mid-September, Williams was hitting .413. But dropped a point a game from then on. Before the final 2 games on September 28, a doubleheader against the Philadelphia Athletics, he was batting .39955, which would have been officially rounded up to .400. Red Sox manager Joe Cronin offered him the chance to sit out the final day, but he declined. "If I'm going to be a .400 hitter," he said at the time, I want more than my toenails on the line. Williams went 6-for-8 on the day, finishing the season at .406. Sacrifice flies were counted as at-bats in 1941. Under today's rules, Williams would have hit between .411 and .419, based on contemporaneous game accounts. Philadelphia fans ran out on the field to surround Williams after the game, forcing him to protect his hat from being stolen. He was helped into the clubhouse by his teammates. Along with his .406 average, Williams also hit 37 home runs and batted in 120 runs, missing the Triple Crown by 5 RBI. Williams' 1941 season is often considered to be the best offensive season of all time, though the MVP award would go to DiMaggio. The .406 batting average, his first of 6 batting championships, is still the highest single-season average in Red Sox history and the highest batting average in the Major League since 1924, and the last time any Major League player has hit over .400 for a season after averaging at least 3.1 plate appearances per game. If I had known hitting .400 was going to be such a big deal, he quipped in 1991, I would have done it again. Williams' on-base percentage of .553 and slugging percentage of .735 that season are both also the highest single-season averages in Red Sox history. The .553 OBP stood as a major league record until it was broken by Barry Bonds in 2002, and his .735 slugging percentage was the highest mark in the major leagues between 1932 and 1994. His OPS of 1.287 that year, a Red Sox record, was the highest in the major leagues between 1923 and 2001. Despite playing in only 143 games that year, Williams led the league with 135 runs scored and 37 home runs, and he finished third with 335 total bases, the most home runs scored, and total bases by a Red Sox player since Jimmy Fox's in 1938. 57 Williams placed second in MVP voting. DiMaggio won, 291 votes to 254. On the strength of his record-breaking 56-game hitting streak and league-leading 125 RBI. 1942 to 1945. U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps. In January 1942, Williams was drafted into the military, being put into Class 1A. A friend of Williams suggested that Williams see the advisor of the governor's Selective Service Appeal agent, since Williams was the sole support of his mother, arguing that Williams should not have been placed in Class 1A, and said Williams should be reclassified to Class 3A. Williams was reclassified to 3A 10 days later. Afterwards, the public reaction was extremely negative. Even though the baseball book season of 42 states, only 4 All-Stars and 1 first-line pitcher entered military service during the 1942 season. Many more MLB players would enter service during the 1943 season. Quaker Oats stopped sponsoring Williams, and Williams, who previously had eaten Quaker products all the time, never once since the company stopped sponsoring him. Despite the trouble with the draft board, Williams had a new salary of $30,000 in 1942. In the season, Williams won the Triple Crown, with a .356 batting average, 36 home runs, and 137 RBIs. On May 21, Williams also hit his 100th career home run. 64. He was the third Red Sox player to hit 100 home runs with the team, following teammates Jimmy Fox and Joe Cronin. Despite winning the Triple Crown, Williams came in second in the MVP voting, losing to Joe Gordon of the Yankees. Williams felt that he should have gotten a little more consideration because of winning the Triple Crown, and he thought that the reason I didn't get more consideration was because of the trouble I had with the draft boards. Williams joined the Navy Reserve on May 22, 1942, went on active duty in 1943, and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps as a naval aviator on May 2, 1944. Williams also played on the baseball team in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, along with his Red Sox teammate Johnny Pesky in pre-flight training, after 8 weeks in Amherst, Massachusetts, and the civilian pilot training course. While on the baseball team, Williams was sent back to Fenway Park on July 12, 1943, to play on an all-star team managed by Babe Ruth. The newspapers reported that Babe Ruth said when finally meeting Williams, "Hiya, kid. You remind me a lot of myself. I love to hit. You're one of the most natural ball players I've ever seen. And if my record is broken, "I hope you're the one to do it." Williams later said he was flabbergasted by the incident, as, after all, it was Babe Ruth. In the game, Williams hit a 425-foot home run to help give the American League All-Stars a 9-8 win. Service baseball. On September 2, 1945, when the war ended, Lieutenant Williams was in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, awaiting orders as a replacement pilot. While in Pearl Harbor, Williams played baseball in the Navy League. Also in that 8-team league were Joe DiMaggio, Joe Gordon, and Stan Musial. The Service World Series with the Army versus the Navy attracted crowds of 40,000 for each game. The players said it was even better than the actual World Series being played between the Detroit Tigers and Chicago Cubs that year. 1946 to 1949. Williams was discharged by the Marine Corps on January 28, 1946, in time to begin preparations for the upcoming pro baseball season. He joined the Red Sox again in 1946, signing a $37,500 contract. On July 14, after Williams hit 3 home runs and 8 RBIs in the first game of a doubleheader, Lou Boudreau, inspired by Williams' consistent pull hitting to right field, created what would later be known as the Boudreau shift, also Williams' shift, against Williams, having only one player on the left side of second base, the left fielder. Ignoring the shift, Williams walked twice, doubled, and grounded out to the shortstop, who was positioned in between first and second base. Also during 1946, the All-Star Game was held in Fenway Park. In the game, Williams homered in the 4th inning against Kirby Higbee, singled in a run in the 5th inning, singled in the 7th inning, and hit a 3-run home run against Rip Sewell's eephus pitch in the 8th inning to help the American League win 12-0. For the 1946 season, Williams hit .342 with 38 home runs and 123 RBIs, helping the Red Sox win the pennant on September 13 in a 1-0 win over Cleveland. Williams hit the only inside-the-park home run in his major league career for the only run of the game. On June 9, he hit what is considered to be the longest home run in Fenway Park history, at 502 feet, 153 meters, and subsequently marked with a lone red seat in the Fenway bleachers. Williams ran away as the winner in the MVP voting. During an exhibition game in Fenway Park against an all-star team during early October, Williams was hit on the elbow by a curveball by the Washington Senators pitcher Mickey Hafner. Williams was immediately taken out of the game, and X-rays of his arm showed no damage, but his arm was swelled up like a boiled egg, according to Williams. Williams could not swing a bat again until 4 days later, one day before the World Series, when he reported the arm as sore. During the series, Williams batted .200, going 5-for-25 with no home runs and just 1 RBI. The Red Sox lost in 7 games. 50 years later, when asked what one thing he would have done different in his life, Williams replied, "I'd have done better in the 46 World Series. God, I would." The 1946 World Series was the only World Series Williams ever appeared in. Williams signed a $70,000 contract in 1947. Williams was also almost traded for Joe DiMaggio in 1947. In late April, Red Sox owner Tom Yawkey and Yankees owner Dan Topping agreed to swap the players, but a day later canceled the deal when Yawkey requested that Yogi Berra come with DiMaggio. 83. In May, Williams was hitting .337. Williams won the Triple Crown in 1947, but lost the MVP award to Joe DiMaggio, 202 points to 201 points. One writer left Williams off his ballot. Williams said he thought it was Mel Webb, whom Williams called a grouchy old guy, although it now appears it was not Webb, and 3 writers left DiMaggio off of their ballots. Williams was the 3rd major league player to have had at least 430 home run and 100 RBI seasons in their first 5 years, joining Chuck Klein and Joe DiMaggio, and followed by Ralph Kiner, Mark Teixeira, Albert Pujols, and Ryan Braun through 2011. In 1948, under their new manager, the ex-New York Yankee great skipper Joe McCarthy, Williams hit a league-leading .369 with 25 home runs and 127 RBIs, and was 3rd in MVP voting. On April 29, Williams hit his 200th career home run. He became just the 2nd player to hit 200 home runs in a Red Sox uniform, joining his former teammate Jimmy Fox. On October 2 against the Yankees, Williams hit his 222nd career home run, tying Fox for the Red Sox all-time record. In the Red Sox final 2 games of the regular schedule, they beat the Yankees to force a 1-game playoff against the Cleveland Indians, and Williams got on base 8 times out of 10 plate appearances. In the playoff, Williams went 1 for 4, with the Red Sox losing 8-3. In 1949, Williams received a new salary of $100,000, $1,281,000 in current dollar terms. He hit .343, losing the AL batting title by just .0002 to the Tigers' George Kell, thus missing the Triple Crown that year. Hitting 43 home runs, his career high, and driving in 159 runs, tied for highest in the league, and at one point, he got on base in 84 straight games, an MLB record that still stands today, helping him win the MVP trophy. On April 28, Williams hit his 223rd career home run, breaking the record for most home runs in a Red Sox uniform, passing Jimmy Fox. Williams is still the Red Sox career home run leader. However, despite being ahead of the Yankees by 1 game just before a 2-game series against them, last regular season games for both teams, the Red Sox lost both of those games and the Yankees won the pennant. They went on to win the first of what would be 5 straight World Series titles, beginning with 1949. For the rest of Williams' career, the Yankees won 9 pennants and 6 World Series titles, while the Red Sox never finished better than 3rd place. 1950 to 1955. In 1950, Williams was playing in his 8th All-Star game. In the first inning, Williams caught a line drive by Ralph Kiner, slamming into the Comiskey Park scoreboard and breaking his left arm. Williams played the rest of the game, and he even singled in a run to give the American League the lead in the 5th inning, but by that time Williams' arm was a balloon and he was in great pain, so he left the game. Both of the doctors who x-rayed Williams held little hope for a full recovery. The doctors operated on Williams for 2 hours. When Williams took his cast off, he could only extend the arm to within 4 inches of his right arm. Williams only played 89 games in 1950. After the baseball season, Williams' elbow hurt so much he considered retirement, since he thought he would never be able to hit again. Tom Yawkey, the Red Sox owner, then sent Jack Fadden to Williams' Florida home to talk to Williams. Williams later thanked Fadden for saving his career. In 1951, Williams struggled to hit .318, with his elbow still hurting. Williams also played in 148 games, 60 more than Williams had played the previous season, 30 home runs, 2 more than he had hit in 1950, and 126 RBIs, 29 more than 1950. Despite his lower-than-usual production at bat, Williams made the All-Star team. On May 15, 1951, Williams became the 11th player in Major League history to hit 300 career home runs. On May 21, Williams passed Chuck Klein for 10th place. On May 25, Williams passed Hornsby for 9th place. And on July 5, Williams passed Al Simmons for 8th place all-time in career home runs. After the season, manager Steve O'Neill was fired, with Lou Boudreau replacing him. Boudreau's first announcement as manager was that all Red Sox players were expendable, including Williams. U.S. Marine Corps, Korea, 1952 to 1953. Williams' name was called from a list of inactive reserves to serve on active duty in the Korean War on January 9, 1952. Williams, who was livid at his recalling, had a physical scheduled for April 2. Williams passed his physical and in May, after only playing in 6 major league games, began refresher flight training and qualification prior to service in Korea. Right before he left for Korea, the Red Sox had a Ted Williams Day in Fenway Park. Friends of Williams gave him a Cadillac, and the Red Sox gave Williams a memory book that was signed by 400,000 fans. The governor of Massachusetts and mayor of Boston were there, along with a Korean War veteran named Frederick Wolf who used a wheelchair for mobility. At the end of the ceremony, everyone in the park held hands and sang "Auld Lang Syne" to Williams, a moment which he later said, moved me quite a bit. Private Wolf, an injured Korean veteran from Brooklyn, presented gifts from wounded veterans to Ted Williams. Ted choked and was only able to say, "Okay, kid." The Red Sox went on to win the game 5-3, thanks to a 2-run home run by Williams in the 7th inning. In August 1953, Williams practiced with the Red Sox for 10 days before playing in his first game, garnering a large ovation from the crowd and hitting a home run in the 8th inning. In the season, Williams ended up hitting .407 with 13 home runs and 34 RBIs in 37 games and 110 at-bats. Not nearly enough plate appearances to qualify for that season's batting title. On September 6, Williams hit his 332nd career home run, passing Hank Greenberg for 7th all-time. On the first day of spring training in 1954, Williams broke his collarbone running after a line drive. Williams was out for 6 weeks. And in April he wrote an article with Joe Reichler of the Saturday Evening Post saying that he intended to retire at the end of the season. Williams returned to the Red Sox lineup on May 7, and he hit .345 with 386 at-bats in 117 games, although Bobby Avila, who had hit .341, won the batting championship. This was because it was required then that a batter needed 400 at-bats, despite Lou Boudreau's attempt to bat Williams second in the lineup to get more at-bats. Williams led the league in base on balls with 136, which kept him from qualifying under the rules at the time. By today's standards, plate appearances, he would have been the champion. The rule was changed shortly thereafter to keep this from happening again. On August 25, Williams passed Johnny Mize for 6th place, and on September 3, Williams passed Joe DiMaggio for 5th all-time in career home runs with his 362nd career home run. He finished the season with 366 career home runs. On September 26, Williams retired after the Red Sox's final game of the season. During the off-season of 1954, Williams was offered the chance to be manager of the Red Sox. Williams declined, and he suggested that Pinky Higgins, who had previously played on the 1946 Red Sox team as the third baseman, become the manager of the team. Higgins later was hired as the Red Sox manager in 1955. Williams sat out the first month of the 1955 season due to a divorce settlement with his wife, Doris. When Williams returned, he signed a $98,000 contract on May 13. Williams batted .356 in 320 at-bats on the season, hitting 28 home runs and driving in 83 runs. For his performance, he was named the Comeback Player of the Year, 1956 to 1960. On July 17, 1956, Williams became the 5th player to hit 400 home runs, following Mel Ott in 1941, Jimmy Fox in 1938, Lou Gehrig in 1936, and Babe Ruth in 1927. 3 weeks later at home against the Yankees on August 7, after Williams was booed for dropping a fly ball from Mickey Mantle, he spat at one of the fans who was taunting him on the top of the dugout. Williams was fined $5,000 for the incident. The following night against Baltimore, Williams was greeted by a large ovation, and received an even larger one when he hit a home run in the 6th inning to break a 2-2 tie. In the Boston Globe, the publishers ran a What Globe Readers Say About Ted section made out of letters about Williams, which were either the sports writers or the loudmouths in the stands. Williams explained years later, from 56 on, I realized that people were for me. The writers had written that the fans should show me they didn't want me, and I got the biggest ovation yet. Williams lost the batting title to Mickey Mantle in 1956, batting .345 to Mantle's .353, with Mantle on his way to winning the Triple Crown. In 1957, Williams batted .388 to lead the majors, then signed a contract in February 1958 for a record-high $125,000, or $135,000. At age 40 that season, he again led the American League with a .328 batting average. When Pumpsie Green became the first black player on the Red Sox, the last major league team to integrate, in 1959, Williams openly welcomed Green. Williams ended his career with a home run in his last at-bat on September 28, 1960. He refused to salute the fans as he returned to the dugout after he crossed home plate, or after he was replaced in left field by Carroll Hardy. An essay written by John Updike the following month for The New Yorker, Hub Fans Bid Kid Adieu, chronicles this event. Career overall. At the time of his retirement, Williams ranked 3rd all-time in home runs, behind Babe Ruth and Jimmy Fox, 7th in RBIs, after Ruth, Cap Anson, Lou Gehrig, Ty Cobb, Fox and Mellott, and 7th in batting average, behind Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Lefty O'Dowd, Ed Delahanty and Tris Speaker. His career batting average of .3444 is the highest of any player who played his entire career in the live ball era following 1920. Most modern statistical analyses place Williams, along with Ruth and Barry Bonds, among the 3 most potent hitters to have played the game. Williams' baseball season of 1941 is often considered favorably with the greatest seasons of Ruth and Bonds in terms of various offensive statistical measures such as slugging, on-base and offensive winning percentage. As a further indication of the 10 best seasons for OPS, short for on-base plus slugging percentage, a popular modern measure of offensive productivity, for each were achieved by Ruth and Bonds, and 2 by Williams. Williams is one of only 29 players in baseball history to date to have appeared in major league games in 4 decades. Playing style. All I want out of life is that when I walk down the street, folks will say, "There goes the greatest hitter who ever lived." Williams was an obsessive student of hitting. He famously used a lighter bat than most sluggers, because it generated a faster swing. In 1970, he wrote a book on the subject, The Science of Hitting, revised 1986, which is still read by many baseball players. The book describes his theory of swinging only at pitches that came into ideal areas of his strike zone, a strategy Williams credited with his success as a hitter. As a result, Williams' bases on balls to plate appearances ratio, .2065, is the highest of any player in the Hall of Fame. Williams nearly always took the first pitch. He helped pass his expertise of playing left field in front of the Green Monster to his successor on the Red Sox, Carl Yastrzemski. Relationship with Boston media and fans. Williams was on uncomfortable terms with the Boston newspapers for nearly 20 years, as he felt they liked to discuss his personal life as much as his baseball performance. He maintained a career-long feud with Sport due to a 1948 feature article in which the reporter included a quote from Williams' mother. Insecure about his upbringing and stubborn because of immense confidence in his own talent, Williams made up his mind that the Knights of the Keyboard, as he derisively labeled the press, were against him. After having hit for the league's Triple Crown in 1947, Williams narrowly lost the MVP award in a vote where one Midwestern newspaper writer left Williams entirely off his 10-player ballot. During his career, some sports writers also criticized aspects of Williams' baseball performance, including what they viewed as his lackadaisical fielding and lack of clutch hitting. Williams pushed back, saying, "They're always saying that I don't hit in the clutches. Well, there are a lot of games when I do." He also asserted that it made no sense crashing into an outfield wall to try to make a difficult catch because of the risk of injury or being out of position to make the play after missing the ball. Williams treated most of the press accordingly, as he described in his 1969 memoir My Turn at Bat. Williams also had an uneasy relationship with the Boston fans, though he could be very cordial one-to-one. He felt at times a good deal of gratitude for their passion and their knowledge of the game. On the other hand, Williams was temperamental, high-strung, and at times tactless. In his biography, Ronald Reese relates how Williams committed 2 fielding miscues in a doubleheader in 1950 and was roundly booed by Boston fans. He bowed 3 times to various sections of Fenway Park and made an obscene gesture. When he came to bat, he spat in the direction of fans near the dugout. The incident caused an avalanche of negative media reaction, and inspired sportswriter Austin Lake's famous comment that when Williams' name was announced the sound was like autumn wind moaning through an apple orchard. Another incident occurred in 1958 in a game against the Washington Senators. Williams struck out, and as he stepped from the batter's box swung his bat violently in anger. The bat slipped from his hands, was launched into the stands and struck a 60-year-old woman who turned out to be the housekeeper of the Red Sox general manager Joe Cronin. While the incident was an accident and Williams apologized to the woman personally, to all appearances it seemed at the time that Williams had hurled the bat in a fit of temper. Williams gave generously to those in need. He was especially linked with the Jimmy Fund of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, which provides support for children's cancer research and treatment. Williams used his celebrity to virtually launch the fund, which raised more than $750 million between 1948 and 2010. Throughout his career, Williams made countless bedside visits to children being treated for cancer, which Williams insisted go unreported. Often parents of sick children would learn at checkout time that Mr. Williams has taken care of your bill. The fund recently stated that Williams would travel everywhere and anywhere, no strings or paychecks attached, to support the cause. His name is synonymous with our battle against all forms of cancer. Williams demanded loyalty from those around him. He could not forgive the fickle nature of the fans, booing a player for booting a ground ball, and then turning around and roaring approval of the same player for hitting a home run. Despite the cheers and adulation of most of his fans, the occasional boos directed at him in Fenway Park led Williams to stop tipping his cap in acknowledgement after a home run. Williams maintained this policy up to and including his swan song in 1960. After hitting a home run at Fenway Park, which would be his last career at-bat, Williams characteristically refused either to tip his cap as he circled the bases or to respond to prolonged cheers of, "We want Ted," from the crowd by making an appearance from the dugout. The Boston manager Pinky Higgins sent Williams to his fielding position in left field to start the ninth inning, but then immediately recalled him for his backup Carroll Hardy, thus allowing Williams to receive one last ovation as he jogged onto then off the field, and he did so without reacting to the crowd. Williams' aloof attitude led the writer John Updike to observe wryly that gods do not answer letters. Williams' final home run did not take place during the final game of the 1960 season, but rather in the Red Sox's last home game that year. The Red Sox played 3 more games, but they were on the road in New York City and Williams did not appear in any of them, as it became clear that Williams' final home at-bat would be the last one of his career. In 1991, on Ted Williams Day at Fenway Park, Williams pulled a Red Sox cap from out of his jacket and tipped it to the crowd. This was the first time that he had done so since his earliest days as a player. Williams once had a friendship with Ty Cobb, with whom he often had discussions about baseball. He often touted Rogers Hornsby as being the greatest right-handed hitter of all time. In Al Stump's now discredited biography about Cobb, he claimed that this assertion actually led to a split in the relationship between Ty Cobb and Ted Williams. Once during one of their yearly debate sessions on the greatest hitters of all time, Williams asserted that Hornsby was one of the greatest of all time. Cobb apparently had strong feelings about Hornsby and he threw a fit, expelling Williams from his hotel room. However, this story was later refuted by Ted Williams himself. Military service. World War II. Williams served as a naval aviator during World War II and the Korean War. Unlike many other major league players, he did not spend all of his wartime playing on service teams. Williams had been classified 3A by Selective Service prior to the war, a dependency deferment because he was his mother's sole means of financial support. When his classification was changed to 1A following the American entry into World War II, Williams appealed to his local draft board. The draft board ruled that his draft status should not have been changed. He made a public statement that once he had built up his mother's trust fund, he intended to enlist. Even so, criticism in the media, including withdrawal of an endorsement contract by Quaker Oats, resulted in his enlistment in the U.S. Naval Reserve on May 22, 1942. Williams did not opt for an easy assignment playing baseball for the Navy, but rather joined the VEEP-5 program to become a naval aviator. Williams was first sent to the Navy's preliminary ground school at Amherst College for 6 months of academic instruction in various subjects including math and navigation, where he achieved a 3.85 grade point average. Williams was talented as a pilot, and so enjoyed it that he had to be ordered by the Navy to leave training to personally accept his American League 1942 Major League Baseball Triple Crown. Williams' Red Sox teammate, Johnny Pesky, who went into the same aviation training program, said this about Williams. He mastered intricate problems in 15 minutes which took the average cadet an hour, and half of the other cadets there were college grads. Pesky again described Williams' acumen in the advanced training, for which Pesky personally did not qualify. I heard Ted literally tore the sleeve target to shreds with his angle dives. He'd shoot from wingovers, zooms and barrel rolls, and after a few passes the sleeve was ribbons. At any rate, I know he broke the all-time record for hits. Ted went to Jacksonville for a course in aerial gunnery, the combat pilot's payoff test, and broke all the records in reflexes, coordination, and visual reaction time. From what I heard, Ted could make a plane and its 6 pianos, machine guns, play like a symphony orchestra, Pesky says. From what they said, his reflexes, coordination, and visual reaction made him a built-in part of the machine. Williams completed pre-flight training in Athens, Georgia, his primary training at NAS Bunker Hill, Indiana, and his advanced flight training at NAS Pensacola. He received his Gold Naval Aviator Wings and his commission as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Marine Corps on May 2, 1944. Williams served as a flight instructor at NAS Pensacola, teaching young pilots to fly the complicated F-4U Corsair fighter plane. Williams was in Pearl Harbor awaiting orders to join the fleet in the Western Pacific when the war in the Pacific ended. He finished the war in Hawaii, and then he was released from active duty on January 12, 1946, but he did remain in the Marine Corps Reserve. Korean War. On May 1, 1952, 14 months after his promotion to captain in the Marine Corps Reserve, Williams was recalled to active duty for service in the Korean War. He had not flown any aircraft for 8 years, but he turned down all offers to sit out the war in comfort as a member of a service baseball team. Nevertheless, Williams was resentful of being called up, which he admitted years later, particularly regarding the Navy's policy of calling up inactive reservists rather than members of the active reserve. Williams reported for duty on May 2, 1952. After 8 weeks of refresher flight training and qualification in the F-9F Panther jet fighter with VMF-223 at the Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, North Carolina, Williams was assigned to VMF-311, Marine Aircraft Group 33, AG-33, based at the K-3 airfield in Pohang, South Korea. On February 16, 1953, Williams, flying as the wingman for John Glenn, later an astronaut, then U.S. Senator, was part of a 35-plane raid against a tank and infantry training school just south of Pyongyang, North Korea. As the aircraft from VMF-115 and VMF-311 dove on the target, Williams' plane was hit by anti-aircraft fire. A piece of flak knocked out his hydraulics and electrical systems, causing Williams to have to limp his plane back to Cape 3 Air Base, where he made a belly landing. For his actions of this day, he was awarded the Air Medal. Williams flew 39 combat missions in Korea, earning the Air Medal with 2 gold stars representing second and third awards, before being withdrawn from flight status in June 1953 after hospitalization for pneumonia. This resulted in the discovery of an inner ear infection that disqualified him from flight status. John Glenn described Williams as one of the best pilots he knew. In the last half of his missions, Williams was flying as Glenn's wingman. Williams likely would have exceeded 600 career home runs if he had not served in the military, and might even have approached Babe Ruth's then record of 714. He might have set the record for career RBIs as well, exceeding Hank Aaron's total. While the absences in the Marine Corps took almost 5 years out of his baseball career, he never publicly complained about the time devoted to service in the Marine Corps. His biographer, Lee Montville, argued that Williams was not happy about being pressed into service in South Korea, but he did what he thought was his patriotic duty. Following his return to the United States in August 1953, he resigned his reserve commission to resume his baseball career. Post-retirement. After retirement from play, Williams helped Boston's new left fielder, Carl Yastrzemski, in hitting, and was a regular visitor to the Red Sox spring training camps from 1961 to 1966, where he worked as a special batting instructor. He served as executive assistant to Tom Yawkey, 1961 to 65, then was named a team vice president, 1965 to 68, upon his election to the Hall of Fame. He resumed his spring training instruction role with the club in 1978. Beginning in 1961, he would spend summers at the Ted Williams baseball camp in Lakeville, Massachusetts, which he had established in 1958 with his friend Al Cassidy and 2 other business partners. For 8 summers and parts of others after that, he would give hitting clinics and talk baseball at the camp. It was not uncommon to find Williams fishing in the pond at the camp. The area now is owned by the town and a few of the buildings still stand. In the main lodge one can still see memorabilia from Williams' playing days. Williams served as manager of the Washington Senators from 1969 to 1971, then continued with the team when they became the Texas Rangers after the 1971 season. Williams' best season as a manager was 1969 when he led the expansion Senators to an 86-76 record in the team's only winning season in Washington. He was chosen Manager of the Year after that season. Like many great players, Williams became impatient with ordinary athletes' abilities and attitudes, particularly those of pitchers, whom he admitted he never respected. Fellow manager Alvin Dark thought Williams was a smart, fearless manager who helped his hitters perform better. Williams' issue with Washington/Texas, according to Dark, was when the ownership traded away his third baseman and shortstop, making it difficult for the club to be as competitive. On the subject of pitchers, in Ted's autobiography written with John Underwood, Ted opines regarding Bob Lemon, a sinkerball specialist, pitching for the Cleveland Indians around 1951. "I have to rate Lemon as one of the very best pitchers I ever faced. His ball was always moving, hard, sinking, fast-breaking. You could never really umph with Lemon." Williams was much more successful in fishing. An avid and expert fly fisherman and deep-sea fisherman, he spent many summers after baseball fishing the Miramichi River in Miramichi, New Brunswick. Williams was named to the International Game Fish Association Hall of Fame in 2000. Williams, Jim Brown, Cumberland Posey, and Cal Hubbard are the only athletes to be inducted into the Halls of Fame of more than one professional sport. Williams was also known as an accomplished hunter. He was fond of pigeon shooting for sport in Fenway Park during his career, on one occasion drawing the ire of the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Williams reached an extensive deal with Sears, lending his name and talent toward marketing, developing, and endorsing a line of in-house sports equipment, such as the Ted Williams Edition Gamefisher aluminum boat and 7.5 horsepower Ted Williams Edition motor, as well as fishing, hunting, and baseball equipment. Williams continued his involvement in the Jimmy Fund, later losing a brother to leukemia, and spending much of his spare time, effort, and money in support of the cancer organization. In his later years, Williams became a fixture at autograph shows and card shows after his son, by his third wife, John Henry Williams, took control of his career, becoming his de facto manager. The younger Williams provided structure to his father's business affairs, exposed forgeries that were flooding the memorabilia market, and rationed his father's public appearances and memorabilia signings to maximize their earnings. One of Ted Williams' final and most memorable public appearances was at the 1999 All-Star Game in Boston. Able to walk only a short distance, Williams was brought to the pitcher's mound in a golf cart. He proudly waved his cap to the crowd, a gesture he had never done as a player. Fans responded with a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. At the pitcher's mound, he was surrounded by players from both teams, including fellow Red Sox player Nomar Garciaparra, and was assisted by Tony Gwynn in throwing out the first pitch of that year's All-Star Game. Later in the year, he was among the members of the Major League Baseball All-Century team, introduced to the crowd at Turner Field in Atlanta prior to Game 2 of the World Series. Personal life. On May 4, 1944, Williams married Doris Soule, the daughter of his hunting guide. Their daughter, Barbara Joyce Bobby Joe, was born on January 28, 1948, while Williams was fishing in Florida. They divorced in 1954. Williams married the socialite model Lee Howard on September 10, 1961, and they were divorced in 1967. Williams married Dolores Weddick, a former Miss Vermont and Vogue model, in 1968. Their son John Henry was born on August 27, 1968, followed by daughter Claudia, on October 8, 1971. They were divorced in 1972. Williams lived with Louise Kaufman for 20 years until her death in 1993. In his book, Kramer called her the love of Williams' life. After his death, her sons filed suit to recover her furniture from Williams' condominium, as well as a half-interest in the condominium they claimed he gave her. Williams had a strong respect for General Douglas MacArthur, referring to him as his idol. For Williams' 40th birthday, MacArthur sent him an oil painting of himself with the inscription to Ted Williams, not only America's greatest baseball player, but a great American who served his country. Your friend, Douglas MacArthur. General U.S. Army. Politically, Williams was a Republican, and was described by one biographer as, to the right of Attila the Hun, except when it came to civil rights. Another writer similarly noted that while in the 1960s he had a liberal attitude on civil rights, he was pretty far right on other cultural issues of the time, calling him ultra-conservative in the tradition of Barry Goldwater and John Wayne. Williams campaigned for Richard Nixon in the 1960 United States presidential election, and after Nixon lost to John F. Kennedy, refused several invitations from President Kennedy to gather together in Cape Cod. He supported Nixon again in 1968, and as manager of the Senators, kept a picture of him on his desk, meeting with the president several times while managing the team. In 1972 he called Nixon, "the greatest president of my lifetime." In the following years, Williams endorsed several other candidates in Republican Party presidential primaries, including George H. W. Bush in 1988, whom he also campaigned for in New Hampshire, Bob Dole in 1996, and George W. Bush in 2000. Williams was called an atheist by several biographers, though Williams said in one biography that he did believe in God. He was raised in a Christian household but did not publicly emphasize his religious beliefs throughout his life. He often described himself as a spiritual person. His experiences during World War II, particularly his time as a Marine pilot, may have influenced his views on life and faith. In numerous interviews and his autobiography, Williams refers to God and his strained relationship with theism due to his mother's constant work with the church. As quoted in his autobiography My Turn at Bat, Williams stated, "I have a God-given talent. God gets you to the plate, but it's up to you what happens when you get there." He concludes his sentiment later with, "I'm not a religious man, but I do believe in God. I believe that He has given me a gift, and I try to use it as best I can." Williams' brother Danny and his son John Henry both died of leukemia. In his last years, Williams suffered from cardiomyopathy. He had a pacemaker implanted in November 2000 and he underwent open-heart surgery in January 2001. After suffering a series of strokes and congestive heart failure, he died of cardiac arrest at the age of 83 on July 5, 2002, at Citrus Memorial Hospital, Inverness, Florida, near his home in Citrus Hills, Florida. Though his will stated his desire to be cremated and his ashes scattered in the Florida Keys, Williams' son John Henry and younger daughter Claudia chose to have his remains frozen cryonically. Ted's elder daughter, Bobby Jo Farrell, brought a suit to have her father's wishes recognized. John Henry's lawyer then produced an informal family pact signed by Ted, Claudia, and John Henry, in which they agreed to be put into biostasis after we die, to be able to be together in the future, even if it is only a chance. Bobby Jo and her attorney, Spike Fitzpatrick, former attorney of Ted Williams, contended that the family pact, which was scribbled on an ink-stained napkin, was forged by John Henry and/or Claudia. Fitzpatrick and Farrell believed that the signature was not obtained legally. Laboratory analysis proved that the signature was genuine. John Henry said that his father was a believer in science and was willing to try cryonics if it held the possibility of reuniting the family. Though the family pact upset some friends, family and fans, a public plea for financial support of the lawsuit by Farrell produced little result. Citing financial difficulties, Farrell dropped her lawsuit on the condition that a $645,000 trust fund left by Williams would immediately pay the sum out equally to the 3 children. In Ted Williams, the biography of an American hero, author Lee Montville claims that the family cryonics pact was a practice Ted Williams' autograph on a plain piece of paper, around which the agreement had later been handwritten. The pact document was signed Ted Williams, the same as his autographs, whereas he would always sign his legal documents Theodore Williams, according to Montville. However, his daughter Claudia, who was part of the pact with John Henry, testified to the authenticity of the document in an affidavit. Williams' body was subsequently decapitated for the neuropreservation option from Alcor. Following John Henry's unexpected illness and death from acute myeloid leukemia on March 6, 2004, John Henry's body was also transported to Alcor, in fulfillment of the family agreement. Awards and recognition. In 1954, Williams was inducted by the San Diego Hall of Champions into the Breitbart Hall of Fame, honoring San Diego's finest athletes both on and off the playing surface. In 2002, he was elected to the Hispanic Heritage Baseball Museum Hall of Fame. In 1999, Williams was ranked as number 8 on the Sporting News list of the 100 greatest baseball players, where he was the highest-ranking left fielder. That same year, he was one of 30 players elected to the Major League Baseball All-Century team. In 2020, The Athletic ranked Williams at number 6 on its Baseball 100 list, compiled by sports writer Joe Posnanski. In 2022, as part of their SN Rushmore project, the Sporting News named Williams on their Boston Mount Rushmore of sports, along Boston Celtics basketball player Bill Russell, Boston Bruins hockey player Bobby Orr, and New England Patriots football player Tom Brady. Williams was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame on July 25, 1966. In his induction speech, Williams included a statement calling for the recognition of the great Negro Leagues players. "I've been a very lucky guy to have worn a baseball uniform, and I hope someday the names of Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson in some way can be added as a symbol of the great Negro players who are not here only because they weren't given a chance." Williams was referring to two of the most famous names in the Negro Leagues, who were not given the opportunity to play in the major leagues before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947. Gibson died early in 1947 and thus never played in the majors, and Page's brief major league stint came long past his prime as a player. This statement from the Hall of Fame podium was a first crack in the door that ultimately would open and include Page and Gibson and other Negro League stars in the shrine. Page was the first inducted in 1971. Gibson and others followed, starting in 1972 and continued on and off into the 21st century. On November 18, 1991, President George H.W. Bush presented Williams with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States. The Ted Williams Tunnel in Boston, Massachusetts, carrying 1.6 miles, 2.6 kilometers, of the final 2.3 miles, 3.7 kilometers, of Interstate 90 under Boston Harbor, opened in December 1995, and Ted Williams Parkway, California State Route 56, in San Diego County, California, opened in 1992, were named in his honor while he was still alive. In 2016, the Major League San Diego Padres inducted Williams into their Hall of Fame for his contributions to baseball in San Diego. Outside Fenway Park, there are two statues of honoring Williams. The first was unveiled in 2004, depicting him placing his cap on the head of a young boy. The second was the teammate's statue, unveiled in 2010, where he is depicted alongside teammate and friends, Bobby Doerr, Dom DiMaggio, and Johnny Pesky. The Tampa Bay Rays home field, Tropicana Field, installed the Ted Williams Museum, formerly in Hernando, Florida, 1994 to 2006, behind the left field fence. From the Tampa Bay Rays website, the Ted Williams Museum and Hitters Hall of Fame brings a special element to the Tropicana Field. Fans can view an array of different artifacts and pictures of the greatest hitter that ever lived. These memorable displays range from Ted Williams' days in the military through his professional playing career. This museum is dedicated to some of the greatest players to ever lace them up, including Willie Mays, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris. In 2013, the Bob Feller Act of Valor Award honored Williams as one of 37 Baseball Hall of Fame members for his service in the United States Marine Corps during World War II. So that is another player profile. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts about Ted Williams, let me know in the comments. I love to read them. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, till next time, keep on collecting. Bye.